Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you guys are new. In this video, I'm going to be going over how to price yourself as a bridal makeup artist, and I'm going to go over also how I personally figured out how I priced myself, what steps I went through, and then how I actually came to terms with what I actually charge now. Then I'm also going to be talking about travel fees and also assistance as well, because that is something I've never covered on this channel. If you guys are just starting out in your makeup artist business, definitely check out the Business for Makeup Artists playlist. The first thing I want to go over is just in general how you determine or come up with a figure to charge people when you first get started as a bridal makeup artist. As we know, the wedding industry is huge nowadays. Weddings are definitely not like they were about 20 years ago. They are a whole entire production nowadays. As I say in every single one of these bridal makeup artist pricing videos, is that it is heavily going to depend on where you are located. If you're in the United States, even in your same state, it can vary by city. So you really want to make sure you are focusing on your specific area that you live in. I do want to let you guys know, in case this is the first video that you guys have ever clicked on, I live in Indiana, specifically in the city of Fort Wayne. So Fort Wayne is actually the second largest city in Indiana, with Indianapolis being the capital and also the largest city. And usually with bigger cities like that, there's a higher cost of living, so you definitely can charge more in those cities. Since Fort Wayne is the second largest city in Indiana, I can't usually charge as much as a makeup artist would in Indianapolis, but I can still charge a pretty decent amount because Fort Wayne is still pretty big in itself. Now, how do you come up with your cost? You want to reach out to multiple different artists in your area. I would say anywhere between 4 to 6 artists. You want to figure out what the lowest pricing is on the scale and then also the highest pricing is on the scale. However, when you talk to these artists, keep in mind that not everybody will be super friendly to you. I've talked about this in some of my Real Talk series before, but some artists are really hesitant or don't like talking to artists that are just beginning as makeup artists because they see them as potential competition. It's not right by any means to me personally. I feel like all artists should help each other out because sometimes those artists end up saving your butt in the end. If you need a secondary artist, people don't like you, they're not going to want to help you. And also vice versa. They could also be getting you jobs too by you coming in as their secondary, or maybe if they aren't available, they can recommend their brides to you. It's pretty much all supposed to be a community in the makeup artist world, but not everybody thinks about it that way, unfortunately. I am very lucky. All the makeup artists in my area are super nice to each other and very friendly. There's no competition between any of us and everybody is super nice. But some people will not be that nice. So if you do get some rejections or you get people that just don't respond to you, don't be shocked. I have heard, especially in different countries, that this happens a lot. But if you do get people that respond to you, then great. That's fantastic. If you for some odd reason live in maybe one of those places that makeup artists aren't so nice and they don't really share information with you like that, you can also look on salons' websites or you can go on the freelancers' websites directly if they have them. Sometimes people do publicly list their pricing. I purposely list my pricing on my website. Once you figure out what a few different artists charge, you don't just want to copy their prices exactly. You're not in the same playing field as them quite yet, so you want to price yourself accordingly. You kind of want to look at about 3 different factors when you're looking at bridal makeup artist pricing. Number 1, you want to see how long they've actually been a makeup artist. That'll also give a good determination of how much you need to charge based on their experience levels. Then you also want to know if they have a certification, if they have a license, even though I don't think that your license or certification necessarily proves that you can do your job better than other people. Usually when people have a license or a certification, they usually do charge more than people that don't have one. With this, you can also look at if they've won any awards, if they've been published in magazines, things like that. They can also justify charging a little bit more as well. And then the third thing that you really want to look at is how good their work looks in general. There could be people that have been doing makeup for more than 10 years and their work looks like shit. It happens. Just take into account all those factors when you guys are determining where to put yourself. For anybody who purposely charges underneath the minimum that they should, and they have the experience that they should be charging normal prices, this is called undercutting. It's exactly what it sounds like. You're literally charging lower than the average to get more clients. It's wrong for you as an artist because if you undercut yourselves, it's very hard to start increasing your prices in the future. It's also very unfair to other makeup artists. You're taking away the clients that they should be getting, and that's completely wrong. People will not like you in the industry. Just don't undercut yourselves. Just charge what you need to be charging. So here's how I personally determine my bridal rates. Let me give you a little background here. I started freelancing right after I came from MAC. I worked for MAC for 3 years and did over 100 faces at that point in time because of the fact that I worked at a MAC boutique and an Ulta. Ulta did not like us freelancing outside of the company because they saw it as a conflict of interest. Therefore, I was not allowed to publicly advertise myself or take pictures to post anywhere. So it was really hard trying to convince people at first when I first started out as a makeup artist that you should pay this price for it when I had nothing to show for it and no pictures. This is why I just worked on heavily building building up my portfolio when I first started. So I worked with a bunch of photographers for styled shoots, and then I also did a whole bunch of friends and family's makeup and just started posting as much as I could just to let people know that I actually could do my job. I am going to be telling you guys how much I charged to begin with and how much I actually charge now. This will let you know exactly what my mindset was and also how I went about strategically pricing myself. First thing to consider is that the minimum wage in Indiana is $7.25 an hour. We are literally one of the lowest minimum wages in the entire United States. I think there's maybe only 3 other states that are on the same playing field as us. Usually a lot of people that I tell my prices to that are on YouTube, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, you charge so low, you should definitely be charging more. All the people that commented, I think lived in states that their minimum wage was like $15 an hour. There's a huge difference between 7 and 15. Some people out there are charging, you know, like $300, $400 per face for a bridal makeup application, and that's completely okay if your minimum wage is like $18 an hour. But mine's so low because my minimum wage here is so low and our cost of living is lower. So just keep that in mind when I tell you guys my bridal rates. So please don't like copy me or try to compare yourselves, because if you live in a state with a higher cost of living, then charge more. I first had to figure out, obviously, as I mentioned, what my average is in the area. So the lowest person that I found is at $65 per face, but I felt like she was kind of undercutting herself. So I want to say that 70 is the lowest. And then it goes all the way up to like 125 per face. For those makeup artists that airbrush, they do charge more because of the machines and the compressors that they need to have for it, and all the equipment and the foundations are more costly. So people who airbrush can definitely charge $10 to $20 more than normal traditional makeup applications. Usually if they're charging $125 in my area, they're usually airbrush artists. I would say in general, $70 to $100 is about the average of where bridal makeup artist pricing is, and that is for a singular makeup application. When I first started out as a bridal makeup artist, I felt like I had a decent amount of experience, and so once I built up my portfolio how I wanted it and started making an Instagram and posting on there, I started off charging $75 per application. Hey, Editing Julie here. There's a couple of times throughout this video that I'm going to randomly be interjecting myself into it because I forgot some important points as I'm watching this video. When I discussed how much I started out with making $75, I charged the same amount for bridal as I charged for any special event, and then bridesmaids were also $75 per person too. So I really wasn't charging an extra fee for brides necessarily, even though I probably should have. Then the other things that you really want to consider when you're doing your pricing, and this is kind of where it gets confusing, you need to also think about all of your add-ons. For instance, you can include the trial separately if you want to. You can also include lashes separately. It kind of just depends on what you guys want to include in your services and what you guys want to be add-ons that are additional fees that your bride needs to pay for. I always include lashes in every one of my applications. I usually get my lashes in bulk or at a discounted price because I get pro discounts on things. Lashes are a pretty minimal cost to me, and I honestly feel like they're pretty essential in a bridal makeup application. I haven't had a bride in a really long time that has not wanted lashes, so I just include them in all my applications. With lashes, I want to preface that I mostly buy drugstore lashes, and I'm not talking about the really like inexpensive, cheap quality ones that you sometimes find off of Amazon or something. I'm talking about Ardell, Allure, and I don't usually ever buy like the luxury faux mink kind of lashes that cost like $30 a box that you can reuse up to 25 times. I also don't get the magnetic eyelashes either. However, if you do get a client that wants magnetic eyelashes and maybe specifically requests it, or if you get a bride that really wants that really full dramatic mink lash look, you can charge them for the actual lashes. Say you buy one for the trial and then one for the actual wedding day application, that's already $60 in lashes. And they also get to keep those lashes too. And then also, if you do individual lashes, it takes a lot longer to do individual or cluster lashes. And since that's seen more of a luxurious service itself, it takes a little bit longer, charge more for it. Then I used to put my bridal trials as separate costs, but I've only had 2 people in the entirety of my makeup artist career that have not opted for a bridal trial. So I started now including them in my bridal fees, which now are bridal packages. This is how my pricing structure is now, and they are publicly listed on my website. Feel free to check it out if you guys want to. I have 2 different packages that people can pick from. I have a basic package and I also have a luxury package. The basic package is what it sounds like. It's the full face makeup applications. You can go natural or glam, it doesn't really matter. And it includes lashes, the touch-up kit, and also the trial. And I charge $180 for this basic package. So if you want to split it like half and half for the trial and also the wedding day application, it's $90 and $90. $90 is on the higher end side of the makeup application fees in my area. Then for the luxury package, as you guys may all know, I include a full skincare prep system for somebody. So it's literally like a whole entire mini spa experience before you actually go into the makeup application. As we all know, the way that your skin looks is literally determining how good the makeup looks. So it's going to turn out a whole lot better than it would without that whole entire skincare routine. I'll be linking a video up here that I did over what I include in the luxury package of me actually doing it on a real bride. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, definitely go ahead and check it out. I charge $250 for the luxury package. So if you break it down, it is $125 per application. And that is definitely a very high end cost for this area, but it does also include a lot. When I determined the cost of the luxury package, I added up all of the material costs that I have going into that. And then I added in the normal makeup application fee. I think I started charging $200 for the luxury package when I first started it, but then I realized that I probably needed to up my cost a little bit more. Okay, it's a different day that I'm editing, so that's why my outfit looks different, but you might see other editing Julie versions in here because I'm editing these all on different days and just keep finding things to add. So I apologize about this. But anyways, what I wanted to add here is I completely forgot to tell you guys what I actually charge for bridesmaids or non-bridesmaids, if that makes sense, like mothers of the bride, cousins, family members. Is I charge $80 per bridesmaid, and that also includes false lashes and a touch-up kit as well. For junior bridesmaids, and this is anybody between the ages of 11 and 16, I charge $45. And then flower girls, I charge $25 for anybody that is 10 and under. Also, for the false lashes, if somebody opts to not have false lashes, the price still stays the same. I don't adjust it based on if somebody wants lashes or they don't want lashes, and literally nobody's complained about it. All right, the next topic that I'm going to try to keep as sweet and simple as possible is travel fees. When you do travel fees, make sure that you are not only accounting for your mileage there, but you're also accounting for your mileage driving back. And that is known as the round trip mileage. You are also going to get those brides that do not realize that you have to travel back. So when they're like, oh yeah, it's only 3 hours there, I'm like, yeah, but then I have to travel back, so that makes 6 hours now. Don't lower your travel fees just to accommodate somebody else. Same with your pricing too. You're eventually going to get people that are going to want to pay your pricing and don't mind it, but you need to definitely not back down on travel fees. You need to account for your time. And that's also technically time that you could be spending doing other applications that are in your area. So also account for the money that you'll be missing out on too when you're traveling. Here's what I want to interject right here. You're going to get a ton of people that are going to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe the travel fee is so high. Will you be able to do this instead of this? And they'll try to negotiate with you on travel fees. And I'm telling you, please do not back down on the travel fees. I've done this multiple different times and I really don't do it anymore because overall, I'm the one that's actually losing out. It's obviously them that's going to be benefiting because they're not having to pay for what I normally charge. And also, if they really wanted to cut travel fees, just find an artist that's closer to you. This is the way that I personally calculate travel, is that you include a certain amount of mileage, and then after that mileage, you start charging a certain dollar or cents per mile over that mileage. So for my mileage currently, I include 60 miles round trip, so that is 30 miles to the location and 30 miles back. And then if you go outside of the 60 miles round trip that I include, then is $1 per mile over. If you travel in any direction 30 miles away from me, you're out of Fort Wayne, but then anywhere inside of that 30 miles is pretty much inside of Fort Wayne. If somebody is wanting you to travel 100 miles round trip, then you subtract that 60 miles, which would give you 40. So that would translate into $40, and that is how much the travel fee would be. So by doing the dollar per mile over, it's really easy to figure out what your mileage should actually be instead of trying to times it by the cents. And that is actually a pretty average configuration in my area. A lot of people do charge $1 per mile over. Some people include 30 miles. I used to charge 90, but now the gas prices have gone up significantly. I decided to lower it to 60. Kind of just depends whatever you guys feel like at that point in time. The second way you can charge by mileage is charging by your state mileage reimbursement fee. Usually when you're at a normal corporate job or maybe an office job or something that requires you to travel around for a living, usually the job reimburses you, and that is the state mileage reimbursement. You can easily look this up. In Indiana, the state mileage reimbursement here is 58 cents per mile. You can start at your personal residence and then just start tracking the mileage from there, go all the way to wherever you need to get the bride ready at, and then all the way back. And then you just multiply it by your mileage reimbursement. Number 3 is very mathematical, so I don't know if you guys necessarily want to go this route, but you can do it this way. I personally would only maybe do this if you have a vehicle that doesn't get very good gas mileage. You can actually calculate the mileage based on the actual gas prices. Then you can figure out the miles per gallon in your vehicle and kind of just do the cost. In Indiana right now, it is $5 per gallon. My car has a 14-gallon tank. If you do the math, that equals to about $70 for me to fill up a tank of gas. Then you can look at how much mileage you're going to have to drive for that client. Then you can try to calculate how many miles you think your car can go info before you have to fill up for a tank of gas, and you can kind of just charge by your tank of gas. So say you need to fill up twice during that journey, then with my calculations for my car specifically, it would be $140 since 70 and 70 is 140. So it kind of just depends what miles per gallon your car gets, what the gas prices are in your area. But I would say that the first way or the second way of doing it would probably be the best. I completely forgot to cover this in addition to all the travel costs. Sometimes you might be traveling far enough away that you're going to either need to have a plane ride / airfare covered, or you also might need to stay in a hotel for the wedding party as well. I've had a few weddings, for instance, that the distance has been far enough away that I need to stay in a hotel the night before, because otherwise it's way too early for me to wake up and drive all the way there. Say the wedding's about 3 hours away and I need to start at 7 a.m. I don't want to be waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to start driving that far. So that's why you would need to require a hotel fee at that point in time. The other thing you might want to consider, if they do have a really early start time, say before maybe 6 a.m. or something, then you can also charge an early start fee. For hotels, I usually have the brides make the reservation for me and put it under my name, so then when I check in, then everything's all set. There's no transfer of money going on. I don't have to wait to get reimbursed from her or anything. On the other hand, if you do have a wedding that requires you to actually fly there, for security reasons, I think that you probably need to put the actual reservation in your own name and then get reimbursed by the bride later. If you aren't driving physically, you don't need to charge a mileage fee. The only reason why you usually charge travel fees is for gas and mileage. Make sure your time is definitely accounted for and definitely get reimbursed for any hotel or airfare fees. Then the last topic that I want to cover is assistance, and I've never covered this on my channel before, but I've recently gotten a lot of questions about it. First of all, I do want to cover that secondary artists and assistants are actually two different things. Assistants, I classify personally as people that don't do full face makeup applications. They're there to assist you. So they're people that tag along to either clean brushes, sanitize your makeup kit in between clients, maybe they do a little bit of skin prep, or maybe they just do false lash applications or just the eyes. Usually assistants aren't the people that do the full face makeup applications all the way from start to finish. So the secondary artists are exactly what it sounds like. They are people that are going to be a secondary artist. They are doing full face makeup applications. As far as payments for assistants and secondary artists, normally assistants, what happens is that they are usually working underneath you, so you're going to be paying them directly. The main artist, being you, makes a good amount of percentage from there. So say you make 60% of the makeup application and then you maybe give your assistant 40%. You can also figure this out by maybe how many hours they're going to be assisting you for, and you can maybe do it by like $50 per hour or like however you want to do it. It kind of just depends on how you want to pay your assistants, but you will be paying your assistants directly. Now with secondary artists, technically you can pay them from what you're making, but with me personally, I like to operate completely separate from my actual secondary artist, just so it's not getting anything confused. How this works is that when we show up on site, say we're doing 12 people all together, I'm taking 6 people and she's taking 6 people. I'm being paid for the amount of faces that I'm doing, and then she gets paid for the amount of faces that she's doing. And we get paid directly from the clients. Yes, you're going to be thinking that this is going to be taking away from clients that I could be getting paid for, but at the same time, the whole entire reason that you need assistants or secondary artists is because you usually are having way too many people that you can do alone, or the time crunch is too severe that you can't get done with that many people in that time period. So in my mind, it's really not taking any money away from me because I wasn't able to do those clients originally. If you get a secondary artist that charges a little bit more than what you charge, usually you're either paying the difference for them, or maybe they'll be nice enough to accommodate that and charge what you charge, just so it can stay consistent, because otherwise it kind of gets a little bit confusing. However, if you get a secondary artist that actually charges lower than what you usually are at, you can either be nice to them, which I usually am, and let them keep the whole entire cost, so then they're making, you know, like maybe $5 to $10 more than what they normally make, or you can take that difference of fee from them if you want to, but I honestly just let them keep it because they're helping me get the job done, so I am very appreciative of their time at that point. If you are really concerned about losing money though, for you personally, you can definitely charge an assistant or a secondary artist fee to your bridal client if you want to, and they'll pay it. I have thought about maybe charging like $100 per person, because technically that's effort that I'm making on my side, and then it's also saving that bride from having to wake up really early in the morning for me to do all the applications. As of right now though, I don't charge any secondary or assistant fee. Now with the last two topics combined, I'm going to talk about travel and assistance. If there is an out-of-town wedding, usually the primary artist drives the secondary artist, and then the one who actually drives is the one who takes the travel fee from the bride. Or if for some odd reason I have to meet my secondary artist to an out-of-town location, I will either pay the secondary artist travel fee if they have one. I'll only do this if it's a super minimal fee. If it's a pretty large fee, I'll usually charge the bride for 2 travel fees instead, to just make sure that she compensates for my travel fee and also my secondary artist travel fee. That is pretty much about it for this video. If this helped you guys out, or or if you guys have any questions about it, comment and also like this video for me. If you guys have not subscribed to this channel, definitely go ahead and subscribe. I do upload a ton of makeup artist related content, tips, vlogs, etc. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe. As always, I hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic day, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. All right, bye.